What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Capes on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this evening. Joining me for their first Capes episode, we've got Teresa.
Hello.
And making their Renegade Pop Culture debut, please welcome Taylor.
Hello.
So for today's episode, we, of course, will be talking about Marvel's Eternals, the 26th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, directed by Chloe Zhao from a screenplay she co-wrote with Patrick Burleigh, Ryan Firpo, and Kaz Firpo, based on the characters created by Jack Kirby. For those who don't know, the Eternals are a team of ancient aliens who have been living on Earth in secret for thousands of years. When an unexpected tragedy forces them out of the shadows, they are forced to reunite against mankind's most ancient enemy, the Deviants. Teresa, I'm going to start with you. Your overall thoughts on the Eternals, and are you familiar with these characters on the page?
I thought Eternals was great. If I had to give it a star level, I would give it 4 stars out of 5. I am not huge into the comic book, but I am in multiple Facebook groups where I knew someone introduced and explained what the characters were. So I kind of had some hints here and there, but by no means am I a Jack Kirby aficionado or anything like that. So most of what the movie introduced me to was first prize, but I loved it. Love the ensemble cast. I love the history of it. More history than I thought I was going to get. And just amazing cinematography.
Nice. Taylor, what about you?
I really liked it. I'd give it like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. And were you, like, before going into this, were you familiar with the characters from the comics, or
not the
or just had kind of a so you just had like a general sort of knowledge of these characters?
Yeah, like general knowledge about the Eternals. I knew about the Celestials and all that, but for the Eternals I didn't really know much about them.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I've seen this movie now 3 times, so clearly I love this. I honestly would go as far as a 5 out of 5 with a few caveats, but we'll get there when we get there. Just generally speaking, I thought like the ensemble cast was great. The score is probably one of Marvel's best. And of course it comes from the same composer who worked on Game of Thrones, the first Iron Man.
Nice.
And plenty of other memorable scores and soundtracks. And of course, Chloe Zhao's directing is, well, it's clear why she wanted to tell a movie on this massive scale, but ultimately is a pretty personal, like, family drama between this team of extraordinary beings. So I guess we'll start there. Out of the 10 people on the Eternals team, who would you say are some of your favorites? Taylor, I'll go ahead and start with you.
I think Icarus and Cersei are my favorite, and Athena. They're my 3 favorites.
Nice. Teresa, what about you?
I love Phastos. I love Athena, and yeah, Cersei. I feel like, I love museums, and she gets, a hot guy at the beginning of the movie, and I was immediately drawn in. I was like, where's this going?
I've kind of gone back and forth each time I've seen the film. I think somewhere in my top 3 obviously is Cersei, but the other 2 times I saw this, my favorites became Druig, who probably had like one of the more sympathetic arcs, as living on Earth for like thousands of years. He's become like just almost like desensitized and just devastated by the wars and conflicts that humans have been struggling with, and yet they were told, nope, you can't interfere because that's not your mission. And you can see like how that really like messed with him to the point where he leaves a team. He's like, I can't do this anymore. I'm doing things my way. So
Yeah.
I think some of my favorites were Cersei, Druig, Fastos, and yeah, I'll say it, Kingo. I wasn't sure what to expect with Kumail Nanjiani in a Marvel film, but he came to play. He was kind of the obligatory comic relief while also being a more three-dimensional character than he usually gets to play in movies and television. Any other characters who kind of jump out at you?
Well, I definitely love the Athena dynamic, because, and with Gilgamesh, because he literally said he'd take care of her for like that could be thousands more years than what happened. I really thought that dynamic was really powerful, and you could see in the effects when he's like literally like calming her down and like bringing her back to herself, like that whole kind of arc storyline of like who is she, and how she forgets herself and goes into that I forget what they call it in the movie, the trance. I just thought
mind weary.
Yeah, the mind weary. I just thought that was amazing.
Yeah, the whole thing with the mind weary, I thought was really fascinating. Kind of like how it kind of reminded me of you're recording over like a VHS, but you don't record over the whole thing. Like there's like traces of what you taped over that are still kind of remaining, and that's kind of what the mind weary reminded me of.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else you got to add on that, Taylor?
No, but all right. I really liked Athena and Gilgamesh's relationship too. It also goes into what I really love about this movie is that the whole portrayal of love, I should say. Like you have different kinds. You have Cersei and Icarus's traditional romantic love. You have Athena and Gilgamesh with they have a mutual love, but it's not like romantic. It's more of like a protector status. And then you have Druig and Makari, which you obviously know something is there, but they don't have to show it to you.
One more I think you're forgetting is the motherly love with Ajax. Yeah, Ajax and the rest of the team, and also Cersei and humanity. Because out of everyone on the team, she's the one who she's the one who kind of bonded with humanity the most. And yeah, we know Kingo Kingo has a rather superficial relationship with humans, as he becomes this big this big movie star. I think with Cersei it runs a little bit deeper, even to the point of like getting into a relationship with someone who until the big reveal is just a regular human being in Dane Whitman, played by Kit Harington.
And there was unrequited love with Sprite and Icarus.
Yeah, so they really explored every single type of love.
I think the analogy of Tinkerbell with Sprite was really smart, and like just lets you know exactly how that relationship works. Like, oh, she loves him, but she can never be with him because she's obviously looks like a kid.
Yeah, there are a lot of great great allegories for religion, for politics, just general philosophy that's sprinkled like throughout the entire film. I think there's one scene that really crystallizes this is everyone has their own opinion on Kumail's character not participating in the third act. But the specific line he says is kind of perfect when he's like, I still believe in Arishem, but I'm not going to hurt my friends over my beliefs. Which I think is kind of fascinating, because we don't often see that sort of like that sort of neutral party in a lot of, well, superhero movies, sure, but just like movies in general where you have like two opposing sides on a particular topic.
Yeah, and I read in that article they shared that it was a like really personal decision for Chloe for him to say that and for it to be in the movie.
And anything else stand out to you in terms of like some of the bigger ideas that this film explores?
Well, definitely with the kind of like seeing, like when you know what the Eternals are and you know how they were created and they were sent there, just thinking about the variety. And you know, Sprite is literally a child. Like, why, if you can make anything, why would you make one a child? And she asked that, and I just thought that was really interesting when you start thinking about it, and obviously thinking about the sequel and the other planets. When you know, in the end credit scene of like, where are you going? What are the other Eternals thinking about those beings, and who are the Celestials, and why do they make them that way? And you know, because technically, you know, they didn't mimic humanity, but you know, they grew to do so more. So that was another thing, is like, you know, the longer time they spent on the planet, the more human they became.
That's a really good point. And something else I was thinking about was the evolution of the deviants. You know, these creatures didn't ask to be born.
Yeah.
So when one of them gains sentience and becomes he's never actually called this in the film, but in the comics, this character is his name is Crow, and he's sort of like the leader of the deviants. So once he kind of gains sentience and understands his role in the grand design, you understand exactly his motivations. Like I didn't ask to be here, and yet you guys are killing my people. So
yeah, all we wanted.
Yeah, so I have to do what I have to do.
Yeah, and they start absorbing powers, which is like mind-blowing. And just knowing like the dramatic irony of it all with Icarus when that starts happening. I'm sure you could tell when you watched it the second and the third time. It's really interesting there. And honestly, I wish they had explored it a bit more, of kind of, you know, what was their journey, not just like one guy like speaking.
Yeah.
But it definitely made you think, and definitely you see, you know, the catalyst to make them all judge and rethink their whole very long immortal lives of what they've been doing there.
Taylor, anything to add?
Yeah, and the whole the line that Druig says when they're in the forest, where Cersei says like, we have to be more careful now. They have a conscience, and that makes them more dangerous. And Druig says, no, Cersei, that makes them us.
Oh yeah.
I love that line. By like the second or third time I saw this, I really kind of honed in on the sort of the personal arc of everyone in this movie, and I kind of came to the conclusion that this is one of those rare Marvel films that there is no antagonist, because every single character could have been the hero of their own story.
I guess you could see that. Yeah, like it's their choices.
Exactly.
that are really fighting against them.
And even, even Civil War, which tried to pit Tony and Steve against each other, that was still kind of egged on by a third party. And sure, in this movie, you could argue that Arishem is that third party that egged on this conflict, but he's a Celestial, so he is far more nonpartisan than the other characters. And B, he's really only in the movie for a couple scenes, despite his presence being felt throughout.
Yeah, which I think was a choice, that they kept that mystery around Arishem, and they didn't want to, it's kind of like the way they did Thanos at the beginning, where they didn't really show him like in Guardians and stuff. So I could see the teases there, but I felt like the conflict was really within the characters themselves and with each other.
Yeah, that's why I call this a family drama.
Yeah,
because it's not a traditional battle between good and evil. It's a conflict of ideals.
Yeah, and like existentialism, like when they figure out their existence, like everyone takes it differently.
Uh-huh.
I did kind of like Fastos, where he was like, I don't care where I came from. I don't care who made me. I have something to live for now. And like he's gonna fight for it. And he has that family. So I thought that was really poignant, that line.
Oh yeah. That might be one of the stronger lines in the film. And there are people out there who kind of take issue with this movie's representation. Mm-hmm. Well, for very uneducated reasons, but I think it really is. It really is a positive aspect of this film, especially for an actor like Brian Tyree Henry, who in interviews has admitted, like, when he was when he was hired to play this character, he was kind of wondering, like, oh well, am I gonna have to get into like Marvel shape? And Chloe Zhao was like, nope, we want you just the way you are. And I thought that was a really touching story when I read that.
And I really think that just backs into like how the Eternals were made. They're all different. They're not the same. They all have their own kind of skill set.
Yeah. So what you guys think of like the portrayal of everyone's abilities? Taylor, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on how everyone's powers were sort of portrayed on screen.
Oh, I loved it. I think they like absolutely nailed it. It was spot on. Like I loved all the fight scenes involving Icarus, because it was basically just watching Superman fighting super cool aliens. I loved Thena's powers, and just like I just loved watching them like do anything really.
Yeah, I also love the way how there are only like a few times when we see the Eternals fighting in like their traditional outfits, but I think one of my favorite scenes is in the Amazon forest, where Icarus in particular is mowing down these deviants but wearing like street clothes.
Yeah,
that's I don't know why, but that always just amuses me in these movies, when characters aren't always they're not always wearing like their masks and their capes and cowls. They're just kind of fighting as themselves.
Yeah, and definitely in the first scene with Cersei, obviously she didn't expect to be fighting, and her transformation power, which I thought was really the way they evolved it, especially in the Amazon with the water kind of changing the deviant and freezing it. I thought that was really cool, and I just really like all the gold touches and how that was like from the ship to like each of their weapons and their powers, and that gold light, it all matched, and it really synced up to the end where they literally were all powered by the awakening of the celestial, and
You in a mind.
yeah, and I just thought that was just the way they visualized that was really cool, because we've seen it in in game and all of that, all people fighting kind of all at once, but I felt like the composition of it really made sense.
I agree. The way the third act was staged, I thought was really really unique. A few years ago we would all joke about the third act usually involving a giant beam in the sky, and this wasn't anywhere close to that your typical third act conflict. Like, sure, they had to do a little bit of fighting because Icarus was being Icarus, and is like, no, I won't let you do the thing that saves people. And I gotta say, seeing Makari beating the crap out of Icarus, I thought was very, very satisfying.
Makari's powers were so awesome, especially when she's looking for the point of emergence, and she's literally running across the entire Earth.
Yeah, that the way they capture super speed in this movie is just awesome. And I also love how she's basically carrying like a GPS with her. Yeah. Just everything about her powers is great, and the fact that this is the first deaf actress portraying a superhero. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I love how they all interacted in sign language with her. Of course, they've known her for thousands. They better have caught on. But I feel like in not Marvel movies, but in other movies, sometimes the deaf character is just literally speaking. Like a Marley Mountain, and she's kind of signing, but everyone else maybe isn't. And I just thought that interaction that she had with all of her team was great.
It shows that, like, just because she has a disability, like that doesn't make her any less of a hero. Like she's on an equal playing field as everyone else, and I think that's what makes this special. There's other things I want to talk about, like the flashback scenes. Taylor, what did you think about the structure of how we go from the present to a very specific moment in these characters' past?
I thought it was really well done. I mean, I've heard people say that it was like poorly edited or paced, or they like didn't really like the structure, but I thought it was really well done. Like every time there was a flashback, it happened when there was like a break or a lull moment in the story where it allowed it to go back and have time to show things that happened in the past. Like, didn't really take away from the present.
Yeah, I noticed this around like the second time I saw this movie. I noticed there's a very specific cadence to how they go back to each specific time. It's always when describing either like either getting to know the next hero that we're introduced to, or it's like calling back to like a a significant event in that character's past.
Yeah, and I've noticed that so whenever there's a short flashback scene that just shows one scene, like the atomic bomb where they like verbally set it up like, Phastos gave up on humanity a long time ago, and then it just cuts back to Phastos with his backstory. But then for the other flashbacks that are like longer, when they're in Babylon and stuff, that happens when there's like a break in the main story where it's like going kind of slowly, and then it cuts to the past with like a longer cutscene.
Yeah, I think this is probably like probably the best way to weave the flashbacks into the main story without either dwelling too much on one particular area or not spending enough time like establishing the history of these characters, because we know the story is supposed to span like thousands of years, but if you tell us in chronological order, this movie would have to be like minimum 5 hours long to cover everything, but also because they've been around for so long, and this movie only has a certain amount of time, you kind of have to be real specific with which eras you're going to flash back to. Does anyone have a favorite flashback scene?
There's so many. I like them all.
I'd say either the atomic bomb or the or whenever they're in Babylon or Mesopotamia, really.
Yeah, I think the Mesopotamia one is my favorite, because this is when they really start to dig into the hot topic of this movie is something that we've kind of talked about in group chats, the trolley problem. And for those who don't know, the trolley problem is the question of, do you save one person strapped to the tracks, or do you save everybody on the train? And it's a very fascinating philosophical debate. And there is, it's hard to really say what that there's a definitive right answer, because everyone kind of has a different viewpoint. Some people will argue that the classic Star Trek quote, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Mm-hmm.
But then other people might be more, I don't want to say selfish, but let's say that one person is, a close relative, while everyone on the train is like a bunch of nobodies. So the answer really does depend on the individual who's asked the question. And that's really what drives the conflict between the team.
Yeah, especially with Thena, where they're already set to erase her mind. And I feel like that is where the shift happened with Ajax, where she was like, maybe one of us is important. Maybe it's worth the chance, the danger of her reverting and, endangering first Gilgamesh and the rest of them. I feel like Ajax was still, at that time playing very neutral, because she was warning Gilgamesh that, you might have to kill her one day. But he felt like sacrificing his whole life to make sure that she had that chance to save herself in a way.
Oh yeah. Ajax, I kind of feel bad for her, because she has spent so long being like loyal to a T towards Erisham, and yet as the mother figure of this team, it does hurt to see to see her children, for lack of a better term, kind of in pain from having to witness all of humanity's struggles, yet not being able to interfere.
It's so frustrating. And she did tell one person, and you could see in the flashback of her interaction with Icarus that she was like, I thought the knowledge would change him, and it didn't. I don't think she expected that.
Yeah, no, and if anything, it shows that Icarus is probably the most what's the word I'm looking for? He's the most corruptible.
Yeah.
Because his allegiance to Erisham goes so much further over the line that like he will not hesitate to eliminate anyone who gets in his way.
Yeah, including his own mother, basically.
Exactly. Taylor, once we get to the reveal that Erisham or Icarus not only knew about the emergence, but is raring to go. How did you feel about his heel turn?
I was a little surprised by it because I my very first viewing, I thought it was going to be Thena, because I read a leak a long time ago of like basically the whole plot, and it was like 95% true, because I knew that they find the like a body of an Eternal, and one of them did it. So for most of the movie I was thinking it was Thena, but then I was kind of surprised by Icarus.
See, I thought that that Druig was going to be the first time I saw this, I thought Druig was going to be the one who turns, because generally in the comics he's the one who kind of goes rogue and turns to the dark side. But kind of like how Captain Marvel flipped the script and made the Skrulls the good guys, I thought it was really clever to do the same thing with Druig and keep him on like on the light side, while Icarus, the most powerful one on the team, I can see it makes sense to turn him into the, I guess, designated antagonist. Although what's kind of funny is the second and the third time that I saw this, it just became really funny how little of a poker face he has. Because now that I know the reveal, it just kind of makes me laugh how every time the conversation turns to what are we going to do about the emergence, he gets very squirrely and deflects to say like, let's go find the others, because we need to do this.
Yeah, or like we should just let Cersei decide and then have her make all decisions. But then when it gets to the point where like, okay, this has gone long enough, I'm gonna step in and like stop all this.
Now there are some people who are kind of criticizing Richard Madden's performance, saying that like, he was very anti-charismatic, or gave a very wooden performance. And while everyone is entitled to their own opinion, I personally think that he played the character exactly as he was meant to.
Yeah. I can kind of understand the charisma point of view, because normally Richard Madden is like more charismatic than what he plays in this character. But for the character of Icarus, I thought he did a really well job, because he's just like the loyal soldier, but then in times that like he does show emotion, like I was loyal to you, and like now I don't know what to do. Or
yeah, it was such a weird position that he left because he knew the truth and he knew it would let her down, but you could still care that you could still see that he cared about her like underneath the surface, but he's a soldier first and foremost, and that I think means he needs to be a little wooden.
Yeah, I think it shows it very well when Icarus is about to kill Ajax, because Ajax says like, "Oh, Icarus, I've led you down the wrong path," and then he says, "It's the only path I know."
Which is a shame.
Yeah. I honestly think like the dialogue in this is very, very cleverly written. There's
it's dialogue is like fantastic in this movie. I think
there's a lot of
very smartly written, I should say.
Yeah, there's a lot of foreshadowing in certain lines that sound like throwaway dialogue, but then they come back to it, and things like that really pay off. Like for example, the first time that Cersei explains who the Eternals are to Dane, he kind of says jokingly, "Oh, so you can't turn me into a giraffe?" and Cersei says, "No, unfortunately, I cannot manipulate organic life." And then later we see she can do exactly that when she turns the deviant into a tree, and then she kind of, I'd say, like freezes the Celestial, which that whole sequence when Tiamat kind of turns into an icy mountain is probably one of my favorite examples of Disney magic portrayed in live action. I feel like Chloe Zhao was inspired by that scene in Peter Pan where Tinkerbell turns the ship into gold, and it starts flying. Just the way that was that was captured, I think, was just really cool.
Yeah. What would you say? I don't agree, but some people seem to have a problem with endings with big CGI like bad guys or whatever, and I'm like, that's fine. We're in a superhero world. Not sure what you thought was going to happen, but I thought it looked cool.
Yeah, I thought the Deviants had like amazing CGI.
Yeah,
they had a very cool sort of stringy appearance to their like the bodies.
They're very colorful too.
And if you try to look up Deviants from the comics, like you can tell that this is like a radical departure, and probably for good reason, because at least when it comes to Jack Kirby's original run of Eternals, there are certain implications about the Deviants that probably wouldn't hold up by today's standards. So I'm thankful that the Deviants have been altered to be more like apex predators, as opposed to something that could be interpreted kind of racist. Um, if you've read the Kirby run, then you probably know what I'm talking about.
I have not, and now I'm afraid to. But
Now I'm curious.
The long story short is that like the Celestials kind of created three different races. You got your regular humans, who just look like you and I, Eternals, who are like sort of the pinnacle of human perfection, and then the Deviants are ugly, so that means they're evil. And yeah, it makes me glad that that for the movie they were changed to be something entirely different.
I like the evolution, although we didn't see that much, but from the very first one, it's kind of like a dinosaur like on the ground, and then when it becomes bipedal and like sentient, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that transformation when like the main deviant kind of turns into Crow, I thought they handled that really well. It was cool to see, the hand gaining appendages and becoming more human like the CGI in this film probably looks, I would say it looks better than a lot of Marvel's more recent films, and probably because this was shot on film and on location as opposed to all of this being on a soundstage.
Yeah, probably. And I know I just watched a featurette earlier today where they said, they did a lot of practical work.
Yeah, the cinematography in this film, I think, just looks incredible. Like Ben Davis has been working on a lot of these movies, but this is probably the first time where he you actually get to appreciate his skill set, especially during scenes that take place outside, during a sunset.
Yeah, those sunsets, man.
And you get to see the characters' hair blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
It made Kevin Feige cry.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, definitely with the romance scenes, with Icarus and Cersei, I could see that. And a lot of hands going on to show their connection, and same with Gilgamesh and Athena.
So I kind of have to ask, because the internet has made a big the internet has made a bunch of hoopla around this. What did you guys think of the sex scene? Was it really anything to write home about?
No. I thought it was just a little abrupt because I was like, oh, today, okay. And then I was like, well, they're mortal. No time like the present to fall in love. But that's the only thing, because we only see it kind of in flashback, so we didn't really get the evolution of their love story. We just got little highlights.
I thought the scene itself was fine, I guess. For a PG-13 movie, this scene was really no more or less explicit than Top Gun, and that was like 35 years ago, and that movie was rated PG. So for people who were against this one way or another, there's really no reason to start a fuss over this.
It's literally two.
Anything else you guys want to bring up that we haven't discussed yet?
I really liked the design of the costumes. I thought they were like beautiful.
Oh yeah, these costumes look gorgeous, and I love the way that the team kind of like transforms into into their sort of like battle ready uniforms.
Yeah, from their ship.
Yeah, and how it's like part of the ship. They just kind of like lean into it.
Yeah, it kind of like paints the costumes onto them with like that gold light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to see the costumes at the El Capitan Theater on the opening night when I saw it. And first you can just the Gilgamesh one is huge. He like seems like 7 feet tall and just really towering. And I just liked how like it was so colorful, even on the clothes themselves. Like that was like what they shot, especially on Sprite. It was so bright.
Oh, that's awesome. Actually, Teresa, I've been meaning to ask, how was the El Capitan premiere?
The crowd was good. I would say everyone was good. It was very family friendly, which I was a little shocked for, Thursday night, school night. But definitely like entire families, like this is their event. I saw at least 3 people in cosplay. They already had their Icarus outfit full on ready to go. And I was like, dang, the movie hadn't even been out like 1 minute. They already dressing up. So I thought that was pretty cool. And everyone was pretty respectful. And I could tell like the set pieces, like, where people were kind of like when it went to Babylon, you could kind of hear people kind of like saying like, oh wow, we're going to Babylon now. So it was good.
I'm very jealous that that I live on the opposite side of the country, because I would love to go to those sort of special premieres.
Yeah, I would say I've been to Black Panther and El Capitan and Doctor Strange. And I would say this was like on par with Black Panther with like, people dressing up. It wasn't as intense as that crowd, because that was like no one really knew, what were happening. And we got like that little sneak peek of Black Panther. So there was like a lot more hype. I feel like the hype for Eternals is a little more like subtle and understated, especially since it's the 26th film. But I definitely could feel like the energy in the crowd, and it was awesome.
Very big. Like, was the theater like fully packed and everything?
I would say maybe they had like 95%, because I looked at tickets like the day before and there were still tickets left and I was a little shocked. But it's so
so it was at full capacity.
Yeah, and like there's upstairs and downstairs. It's almost like if you were going to like a Broadway play. The way the theater is set up. So they have kind of like, it goes out to the side with like little kind of like sections, like mezzanine sections on the top. And then the bottom, it has kind of an orchestra level, if you will, if you think about it like that, with like right, center, left, with big stages. And then when they have like, sometimes they have scores, or like when it's more like a kid's movie, they have like things that literally come out of the stage, like animatronics, like Disneyland type stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
For this one, they didn't have it. Like the last one I saw where they did that was Wrinkle in Time, actually. When I saw Wrinkle in Time there.
Gross.
But no, it's good. And you get like a little, I didn't go that early, but you get like a music pre-show. Like, Disney favorite.
It is kind of cool that like Disney owns their own theaters, so they can put on these sort of like elaborate events for their movies.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And the Encanto premiere was that day, but like during the day at the Dolby Theater, which is across the street. So it was hopping on Hollywood Boulevard when I showed up.
Couple more things we do need to talk about. Obviously we have to talk about the post-credit scenes. The first one the first one is the one that unfortunately got spoiled by a couple of the trades a few weeks before the movie was released to the public, and that was our first appearance of Harry Styles as Eros, otherwise known as Star Fox, Thanos' brother, who comes to offer his services to the Eternals. Taylor, what did you think of Harry Styles as this character?
I thought it was cool. I don't really know anything about the character himself much, although after I can't remember if it was the first or second viewing, I looked up more about the Eternals and Eros and all that other stuff.
Yeah, Eros is a fascinating character, and if for no other reason, I'm excited for whatever Marvel has in store for both the Eternals themselves and just the Marvel cosmic universe, because the floodgates are open now, so we're gonna see a lot of weird shit in this, and I'm very excited to see where they go from here. And I'm also excited that Harry Styles appearing in the MCU means that these movies are going to gain a much bigger audience, and that's really exciting for people to be introduced to a whole other side to the MCU. Teresa, what about you?
Yeah, I was definitely. I know that I had read that he was in the movie. I didn't know that he was going to be Star Fox. So when he popped up, I was like, oh, there he is. That's where you've been. So I thought that was a nice surprise. I definitely like the way they introduced it. With, I believe it's Pip, right?
Yep, Pip
first.
Patrol.
And because I was like, what is on this ship? And my first thought was like, it's Guardian Galaxy something, like they're gonna tie the movies together like that. And then it was totally different characters, and I was like, oh, well, that makes more sense. You can tell that I have not read the comics. I did look up after I did my little film blog where they do the primer, like, oh, this is Star Fox. So I thought that was really cool. I definitely liked kind of, you can see just a little bit of kind of Eros's personality and like the core of like that character, the god of love. And I thought it was pretty cool that they introduced him as like the antithesis of Thanos, although I hear in the comics like he's kind of Thanos' friend, but like we don't know. So I'm very intrigued to see how that plays out. But definitely it's gonna bring all the fans. He's so popular right now. It's literally insane. Like I looked at tickets to one of his shows, Harry Styles' show, like middle of pandemic. I was like, oh, maybe I'll like get one because of the pandemic. Someone will give them back. No, they just got more and more expensive. He's playing in LA next week. The minimum ticket is $350 for a nosebleed. And then that's like BTS level. BTS is only a little bit more than him. And I was like, I don't need to see him that bad. So that's fine. But I was like, I probably have checked 5 times in the last year and the prices have been insane, like $1,000 tickets, not the floor. And I'm just like, he's so hot. Everyone knows him, like all the songs. Even people were like, yeah, I know that one song by him. I mean, and that was before the craziness of One Direction. I happened to be when their movie played in London. I happened to be in London then, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. There's so much screaming. This is really intense. So just like that whole legion has grown up. And he's I guess it depends on your music taste, but he's matured as an artist, and definitely I feel like he has crossed the pond 100% to America. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Oh yeah, I'll admit I haven't listened to a lot of his solo work, but just the fact that what you described, tickets are being sold by like the thousands. It definitely bodes well for whatever direction, no pun intended, his career takes.
I honestly didn't even know he was doing solo music.
Yes. I feel like he has 2 albums. I feel like the first one, like not many people in America listen to it, but the second album with Watermelon Sugar and Adore You, those are the singles. I didn't even know that was Harry Styles when I was listening to it, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's coming together. And like all the talk shows have like made fun of one of like the songs or done a parody. Like James Corden did a song with Henry Golding for Gold. He has a song called Golden, and they did like a whole play on words like with it. And I was like, oh my gosh, Harry Styles is like now like use fodder for parodies.
That's when you know you've made it.
Yeah, I was like, wow. I didn't know this was happening.
And then the other post-credit scene, we see Dane opening a box with a family heirloom. And if you know the character, then you know that this heirloom is a sword from his passed down from generation to generation, called the Ebony Blade.
Yes.
And I won't say that I'm too familiar with this character from the comics, but I just going by information that I've looked up about this character, it gets me really excited for another corner of the Marvel universe where things get a little bit more supernatural. And there's even a voice you hear off screen that asks, are you sure you're ready for this, Mr. Whitman? And yes, that is, as confirmed by Chloe Zhao herself, that is Mahershala Ali as Blade.
Ugh, I cannot wait, you guys.
I know. But I have to ask, like, did you know that was Blade when you first left the theater?
No,
I didn't know it was Blade, but I kept going, that voice sounds familiar. Who is that? And then I saw that it was Blade or Mahershala Ali.
I thought it was Samuel L. Jackson for half a second. I was like, is that supposed to be Nick Fury? Who is that supposed to be? And then the internet answered my question. And then I was like, oh, that makes total sense now. But I was a little lost. I was just like, I have to know this voice. I have to go home and find the answer. At least 3 people outside asked me if I knew who it was. And I was like, no, dude, I don't know.
I had a feeling it was Mahershala Ali, but I couldn't confirm it yet. So, like, right as I walked out of the theater, I had people messaging me like, "Dude, is that who I think it is?" And we all kind of said like, "Oh, if it is, then that, like, what does this mean?" Like, and we all just got super excited for the possibilities. And then the next morning, Zhao says in an interview, "Yep, that's Blade. Blade is in the movie."
I love it. I love how she didn't mentor it. She's like, no, that is. We're not playing guessing games.
So as we kind of wrap up this podcast, I have 2 questions. One is, what would you like to see in a traditional Eternal sequel? And then the other one is, where do you think the Marvel universe is going just in general. It doesn't have to necessarily be directly tied to Eternals, but any corner of the MCU. Teresa, I'll start with you. Just based on what we've seen, what would you like to see moving forward?
In Eternals 2, I would like a little bit of a space road trip with the Eros and everyone on the ship. And somehow, really introducing us into other eternal worlds. Like more, I need more about the Celestials. And then of course I need her boyfriend to come rescue her. Cersei, I need to figure that out. I feel like they'll delay it till the third act and there will be all this kind of lead up, which I'm totally happy with. But that's what I see. And then just in general, I just think it's all going to be like new worlds, new space, like if it's like, the multiverse and like just it's all about revealing things, like turning things on its head of like you thought you knew. It's just like the Eternals were there the whole time. Thanos was doing his thing and they didn't do a thing to stop it. So there'll be those nods to really like wrap things together. And then it'll just totally shoot off in another direction.
I like that. Taylor, what about you?
All I need is Chloe Zhao back for Eternals 2, and I'll be happy. That's all I need. I just need her back.
Honestly, same. If perhaps the one criticism I'll concede to is, as much as I love what Zhao brought to the story of this film, I will admit that sometimes the sometimes the exposition and the dialogue can get a bit dense. So what I'm hoping for is if she does come back for the sequel, that she has a little bit more authorship. That I don't mind her having like one other co-writer, but I would just prefer it if she had like if she had a little bit more creative freedom to really lean into her style while advancing the narrative. And outside of Eternals, the two directions that I'm excited for the most are the cosmic universe and the supernatural. So coming down the pipe, we've got Moon Knight, which is a series on Disney Plus that is, I guess, sort of the street level version of Marvel dealing with the supernatural. And then in October of 2022, there will be, a 1 hour Disney Plus special called Werewolf by Night, which is definitely going to lean like heavily into the supernatural side of things. And I'm kind of hoping this is like the first time that we get to see Blade in action. And maybe that's why he was introduced off camera in this movie, just to kind of get the idea of this character in people's heads.
I wanted more than a voice, but I respect their decision, and it does give you the hype and like means the story can go absolutely anywhere. But I am a Blade like super fan. That is how I got into film school. I wrote about the first movie. So
nice.
I'm like clamoring at the bit for Blade in any and all forms. So that's probably just me.
Yeah, I'm when Mahershala Ali was like first announced to be playing Blade, I thought that was just perfect casting. I don't know if anyone saw Alita Battle Angel, but one of the characters that he plays in that movie looks exactly how he looks exactly like how you'd expect Blade to look in live action, and I'm just ready. I'm ready to see him
He's gonna be
make his MCU debut.
I'm pretty sure at this point Marvel can like not cast a non-perfect role.
Yeah, whoever is in charge of casting at Marvel Studios deserves all the recognition.
especially with the Eternals. I just thought everything was like pitch perfect.
Oh yeah.
Like, where did the lady, the girl who played Sprite, she was so good.
Speaking of which,
yeah.
Who do you think gave the best performance of the Eternals?
That's tough.
I don't know.
I honestly think Angelina Jolie.
That's my answer too.
Because this could have easily been a scene stealing performance because she's Angelina Jolie, but one of the smartest decisions she made was, she kind of downplayed her presence and just kind of she just kind of did the job. She understood the assignment and just and just kind of gave herself to the character.
Very understated when it needed to be, and still has like strength in that character and everything. And a lot of vulnerability. I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, that's why I think she gave the best performance.
Yeah, I did like Druig. I feel like Druig's character was there to make you like really think about the moral quandary. And I've been hearing things about Barry Keoghan. I do not know how to say his surname. Sorry, Barry. But I can see why he gets all the hype.
Yeah, Barry Keoghan's performance is phenomenal. He is definitely one of those young rising star actors who pretty much every movie he's in, he is one of the highlights. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Lauren Ridloff as Makari. Beyond just like the wow factor of like she gets to be the first deaf superhero on screen. It genuinely is a great performance. The way she uses sign language to convey emotion is just powerful, man. But really all these performances were like top notch. Even Harish Patel as Karun.
Yeah.
Like he may just be like the comic relief, but even as such, he is still like probably one of the funniest like the funniest comic relief characters that Marvel has established so far.
Always bring backups.
I love
that. I did, sir.
I love that running gag so much.
I like the way they switch the camera. I thought that was really cute. I feel like since like Ant-Man and Michael Pena, like where I was like, I love this character and want nothing bad to happen. You must protect him.
That's how I feel now about shoot, what's her name? From Thor. Darcy. I think it was WandaVision that really kind of solidified how great she is as a character. But yeah, Marvel's we know that like the MCU gets it gets slammed for being overly reliant on humor, but hey, when it works, it works.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it either goes overboard or like is done like perfectly.
Yeah.
And I'd say this is the movie that falls more on the perfect side, because the humor never overstays its welcome. It's always used as like punctuation for like the more dramatic scenes.
Yeah. I was like not expecting to laugh as much as I did. Because all the pre-hype like reviews of Rotten Tomatoes, they're like, it's boring, it's hard to follow. And I was like, not boring, easy to follow.
Yeah.
Very straightforward story compared to Endgame and like time. I was like, this is so easy to follow. And I laughed so much.
Yeah. Again, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but people are entitled to their opinion. But in my opinion, I don't know how anyone can consider this the worst of the MCU, when I personally think this is probably one of their best origin films, because of like because of the sort of like philosophical debates and existential questions that this movie poses, but also just you can find something in each of these characters to relate to, even though they are like cosmic sentient robots, apparently. They're still far more human than even like the main Avengers. I find myself relating more to these characters.
Yeah. They're very humanized in this movie.
I think as time goes on, more people will appreciate this movie, because I mean, it's been a week and we're already still talking about like the main moral debate, like who's right and who's wrong. Like the discussion of this movie is still continuing, and I think that's just a testament of how well it was made.
Oh yeah, pretty much every day I'm seeing something come up from this movie, and while it may not be doing as well at the box office compared to some other films, that's not that's not really the biggest concern, because this movie is a little bit on the long side, so theaters can only show so many screenings, but internationally and without China, the movie has certainly taken off. So you're gonna see a sequel announcement at some point, if not in the next couple weeks.
In regards to the runtime, I think modern audiences are more accepting of longer runtimes now, because like I think Spider-Man No Way Home is going to be the same runtime, if not longer.
Yeah,
I was like, Endgame is like feels so long. I cannot believe anyone's complaining about a lot of runtime. We've already done there. We've already gone there.
Yeah. Even like the past couple months, we've had movies on the lengthier side, like Dune, No Time to Die. If you're a fan of Neon Genesis Evangelion, the last movie is like 155 minutes, which is just a few shy of this one. So yeah, I hope that audiences are less concerned with the runtime and more concerned with like how the movie as a whole, just how the movie works as like a piece of entertainment.
Yeah.
So any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
If you're listening to this and you're on the fence, you should go see it and make up your own mind. And at the very least, go see it because Chloe Zhao is awesome.
Well said. Taylor?
Same. I think there is one thing I was going to bring up, but I forgot it. So, but everyone in this movie is awesome.
Yeah, I'm basically just echoing what you guys said. It's been a while since I've done an official Marvel ranking, but I would say now that I've seen this like three times in theaters, I can officially declare this one of my favorite MCU films of all time. Somewhere, it's somewhere in my top 10.
Yeah, I think definitely in my top 10, but I don't think it'll be top 5.
It'll probably be on the lower end of the top 10, but still after 26 films, and if you even want to count the Disney Plus series, to be in the top 10 after 13 plus years is still high praise. And as Teresa said, if you're on the fence, then you should just go see it and make up your own mind. But whatever you think of this movie, I am dying to know. I'm dying to know what everyone thinks of this. So yeah, comment below your own thoughts, and I hope you enjoyed our discussion of Eternals. Before we head out of here, first of all, Taylor, thank you for joining at the very last minute. Where can everyone find you online?
I'm on all social media. I think Facebook is just my name, Taylor, but on Instagram, I think I'm UmbrionH18. And then Twitter, I think it's SGT_18 or Umbreon, like Sergeant Umbreon.
All right. And Teresa, where can everyone find you?
Oh, that's the my favorite Pokemon.
Nice.
And the best evolution.
Nice.
Everyone can find me on all social media at Teresa Electro, and that's Teresa with no H.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out all my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can look for us on Podchaser, listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Capes. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.